Hey guys, Mixed Media Girl here. In this video, I am doing a resin painted tumbler and bowl set. So to start off with, I'm using Mixed Media Girl Artist Resin. I've got my tumbler up on a cup turner and I'm putting a clear coat of resin on it just to help the colors flow. I did prime it with some satin spray paint and primer, and that's just to give it a nice background because some of that will probably show through. This is Illuminate white resin dye, and then the rest of the colors that I'm using in this video are a little bit of a surprise, I guess. They're colors that I was testing out, and I will be releasing them in my store soon, so I'm not going to tell you too much about them, but there's some gorgeous new micas, and one of them is a reddish purple, one of them is a very transparent sparkly purple, and then one is a pearl violet color. So it's a chameleon. And I'm putting these on here one at a time. And basically, two of these are very transparent. One is opaque and one is semi-transparent. So you're not going to really see the transparent colors, which are the pearl and the sparkly purple. But it will absolutely affect the color and add a lot of depth, and it's just gorgeous. I'm using about 12 ounces of resin because that's how much I need to cover the tumbler and to make my bowl. And I did lightly torch the tumbler once I was done with the design, very lightly, just to get rid of any air bubbles. And then I moved it off of the mold, and then I took the rest of the resin that I had left over, and I poured that into a cup and kind of did a tree ring into the mold. I also put a little bit around the edges because I thought that would give it kind of an interesting design. Resin continues to move, so the design that you have around the outside of your mold is not going to really make much of a difference. It's kind of just going to be plain either way. So I just added the rest of my resin there to have enough to fill up the mold. The mold is not completely filled up. This mold takes, I think, at least 14 or 16 ounces of resin, something like that. And I put about 12 in there, so it's mostly full. Once I had all my resin in there, I let it cure for about 6 hours. Now that's going to depend on your resin and the temperature in your workspace. So Mixed Media Girl resin, artist resin cures in about 24 hours, and my workspace is about 75 degrees. Here's how the bottom looks, and I take the side that I like the best, and I use that as the inside of my bowl. So I've got a hard plastic bowl here, and I'm essentially using that as a mold for my resin bowl. You can use the outside of the bowl if you want, and you can use a vase, you can use various things. Try out different things and see what works. This is so far my favorite, and I put it in there and then I mold the sides how I want. I like it to be extra kind of ruffly, I guess. And then I put a silicone mat on the inside and weighed it down with a gallon of resin and then let it cure overnight. So the next day I came back and I gently turn it while pulling up on the edges to demold it, and it will just pop right out. You shouldn't have any issues. You don't need to use any mold release or anything like that. So here is how the bowl looks. It's gorgeous. I wish I could show you the full depth through this camera, but you probably can't quite see all of it. All of those colors are in there, and it's really, really pretty. Now, as a note, even though you can demold it the next day, I leave it in that bowl for at least 2 days to give it plenty of time to harden, because otherwise it can be not cured enough and it can kind of flatten out. So I will put it back in the bowl after this and let it sit in there for a couple more days. Here's the tumbler. Love it. It's gorgeous. I'll put a clear coat on this to make it food safe, but it's ready to go. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you next time.